underpins the love, devotion, and loyalty towards one's country. Government has been forming patriotism clubs in schools. Recently, we heard of a threat to revoke the licenses of schools which don't embrace patriotism programs. But are our leaders patriotic themselves before they can teach patriotism? Or are they preaching water when they instead drink wine? Is it even possible to force people to love their country? On the spot tonight, we'll be speaking to the Commissioner for Patriotism in the President's Office, Brigadier Patrick Mwesije, to shed light on the patriotism campaign. Welcome to On the Spot. My name is Joel Senyonyi, sitting in for Patrick Kamara. Brigadier Patrick Mwesije, you're on the spot tonight. Thank you for joining us.
Thank you. Welcome. Good evening, viewers.
How are you?
All right. How are you?
I'm well. Let's do this. Just before we get into this discussion, let's take a look at this. This is what happened in Bujiri. You were, what do you folks call it in the military?
Passing out.
Yes, that's the wording. You were passing out a couple of students that had passed training. Let's take a look at this and we'll get back to the discussion.
His Excellency the President, actually, to use his words, he said that such adamant owners of schools and head teachers can cause the revocation of the certificates of those institutions if we really have to be serious. So for those who will remain adamant, if we go to them and they say they don't want, we will think about the message of the President.
Schools which have not turned up, we must take administrative action because it was unanimously agreed in our meeting by all school-head teachers. So they must show cause as to why they have not participated.
All right, so that happened in Bujiri as Brigadier Mwesije, together with his team, were passing out students that had gone through that training. Brigadier, let's begin with the basics, really. This thing called patriotism, what exactly is it?
Well, patriotism, as you had defined, is the love of nation and the willingness to sacrifice for it. Patriotism is a spirit of national consciousness, that you are aware of the heritage of your country, the culture of your country, your people, you know its resources, you know its history, you know its geography, you understand it, and you love it. And you are willing, you can voluntarily give up your life for this country that you love. That's briefly the definition. Now, a person really who has attained this spirit, a patriot, is highly committed, devoted to serving the country, to serving the people, delivering services, and he puts the nation first before himself. That's how I can explain patriotism and what patriotism is. Yep.
So you are the Commissioner for Patriotism in the President's Office.
Right.
What exactly does your job entail? What is that?
Well, I head and guide and direct this department. I do its strategic planning, strategic direction to the program, and I manage the staff who are put under me. I make programs and ensure that they are authentic to the recipient.
Afande, we tend to link patriotism to military activities, drills, and all of that. The students that you were passing out had just been going through a military training for quite a bit of time, Mchaka. And look, I have nothing against Mchaka. I've done it before, like I was telling you, twice actually. So it's a good thing for fitness and all these different things. But that we link patriotism to acquiring military skills, knowing how to shoot the gun and all these different things, and yet you have defined patriotism the way you have. I don't see a tethering. I don't see a link.
You are right. Patriotism training entails a lot of teachings, a lot of trainings. The first of all, of course, involves theoretical training, where we deliver quite a number of theoretical lessons to the learners, tailored to transforming their beliefs, their values, and the attitudes that could be negative and an impediment to their social transformation. And the military training comes in because military training, as you have seen, is a disciplined method of training to create discipline, to create unity, to create resilience, to create stamina, to create strength, so that you can be able, as a patriot, to serve your country. So it's not turn these children into military officers or military operatives, but to build resilience, to build stamina in these children, and to appreciate the fact that to be efficient in whatever we do, we need to act in unison. We need to act together. You see, when you're undergoing military training, these orders are always delivered to a unit, and the unit responds as a unit. And by the time you finish training, your brain, your mind is accustomed to responding to orders as a unit, and that the individual is part of the unit, and that whatever you do must conform to the actions of the unit. Now, if the entire country was trained militarily, it means it would be very easy even for the leadership to guide, to direct, to make us work towards the realization of our national objective.
But you seem to say
Yes.
that there's a nexus between military training and discipline. And then to an extent, a couple of people might agree. I know several folks in uniform, disciplined soldiers, men and women, gallant.
Generally, you look at the
people that
APDF.
serve this country. But look, there's a couple of others that operate in a manner so wanton. Why? Because they wear the uniform that you wear, and we have seen them. You know, we have seen my friend General Kasirye Gwanga, who does whatever it is that he wants, and it seems to be okay. Nobody says anything. You know, your colleague General Matayo Chaligonza, another one who just does whatever he likes to do, and it seems to be okay. Why? Impunity. He's in uniform. I have personally met several guys on the road. They drive a car that does not have right of way. You know, it's a good thing to know the law. And so I as a citizen, I know who has right of way and who does not. Okay? But somebody, because they are clad in a uniform like yours, they're driving private number plates, and they imagine I'm supposed to give them way because they are clad in a uniform like yours. And I'm thinking, but wait a minute. What gives them a sense of entitlement that they're first-class citizen and I am not? And those are folks in uniform, very indisciplined. I'm sure you would agree. But here we are saying, when we militarily train people, they're going to become disciplined. And people will say, no, we don't agree.
Well, there are many things that go on changing an individual. Even when you have attained this discipline, it is possible that if you don't continually get exposed to this guidance, to the training, to whatever we have to go through, there are formative factors that may create, that may, you know, mold you in a different manner, and you change. But that's at individual level. And in most cases, what happens is that when you have reached a certain level, you are sort of somehow independent, and you are not subject to this daily drilling, the daily teachings, and somehow you may relapse. There's a tendency to relapse, to forget, and behave in a manner that may not be commensurate with the required discipline of the institution. So, but what I have to say is that these individual actions, they don't reflect institutional discipline, and usually individual actions are administratively dealt with.
Yeah, but does that then not water down your message that, look, if we train people militarily, then they are, as a given, going to become disciplined? And that's where I'm finding a problem.
That's the general trend.
While I have met disciplined officers, I've met several indisciplined ones. Those who are high-ranking and even the junior fellows.
You can't stop individuals really behaving the way they behave, but talking in general terms, the general trend is that people who are military trained are disciplined. Before this current recruitment drives, when we still had war in the north, in the west, where we would just welcome everybody into the force. And, you know, the villages would send us in disciplined fellas, let them go to the army, they will discipline them. And indeed, we used to receive many people who had, you know, dented backgrounds, but would transform them to very good soldiers, and they would do well. Now, I don't want to really to attribute individual actions to the failure of what I have said, that military training really imbibes or imputes discipline individuals. Individual behavior can be attributed to many things that are out of control of the institution.
Afande, I'm sure you have children, and something about children, I don't have any of my own. Hopefully, sometimes
you will get.
but look, the bit that I watch about children is they learn a lot more by seeing.
Yep.
What they see the adults do, they do. Not what you tell them to do. You tell them, don't touch this glass. You walk out of there, they will touch it because they saw you touch it. Why is he touching it? And they're telling me not to touch it, you know? And so I keep wondering, are we able to inoculate in the citizens of this country things that our leaders are failing to do? Afande, you know, our leaders steal our tax money, our leaders abuse laws, and by the way, these are confessions by even the president, you know. So it's not an allegation, it is a fact out there, you know. So our leaders steal our tax money, our leaders abuse laws, our leaders violate human rights, and do all manner of gross things you can think about. And our leaders are saying, so we want to teach you discipline and patriotism. And I'm thinking, but how? How do you preach water and yet you are drinking wine? Let me read to you a tweet that was put out by a guy called Joel Senyoni. Commissioner for Patriotism, Brigadier Patrick Mwesige, says licenses of schools which don't embrace patriotism programs will be revoked. Our leaders steal tax money, abuse laws, violate human rights, etc., but they want to force citizens to be patriotic. Stop preaching water, yet you drink wine. And that's a message to our leaders. How do we expect that our leaders will tell people be patriotic when they're not patriotic? Because you see, if you steal money that's been given to you as a steward, you occupy a ministry, whatever position, you're meant to steward that money, you misuse that money. And then you expect us to hear a message of patriotism from our leaders. But how? How can that happen, Afande?
Well, what I have to say on that one is that, again, these are individual actions.
Yeah, but they're actions of our leaders.
It's not,
yes. Some leaders who are telling us, guys, be patriotic, and we are saying, wait a minute, are you patriotic?
And secondly, you know, they will recruit leaders. Our leaders, in most cases, are recruited through the public service system, and we don't have a systematic method of inducting them and passing them through, you know, patriotic training or ideological orientation lessons. Some of them rise to high levels of leadership without the right ideological orientation. And by the time they attain that level, we can't pull them down, back to take them for ideological training.
No, you see, yeah, I get that.
And again,
but my point, Afande, is
yes,
for that leader to stand up and tell citizens be patriotic is unthinkable. It's unfathomable. Why do you not be patriotic first yourself? Then we can learn from you as opposed to telling us be patriotic to those leaders that you're talking about.
Well, I don't know whether those kinds of leaders you're talking about have been telling people to be patriotic.
Oh, they do. Matter of fact, they do. In fact, it's on rare occasions that we hear from Brigadier Mwesige. Perhaps you do, you know, background work and so on. I saw you on TV for the first time yesterday. That's when I put out this tweet. But for most of the time, it's been these leaders, the politicians and all that we hear, telling people be patriotic. And it's a good thing for leaders to tell their people to be patriotic. But you see, you cannot tell people to be patriotic when you are not. It just does not make sense, Afande.
Well, I'm not going to make sweeping statements. because not all leaders really have done mischief. If you want, then you can talk about those specific leaders. Otherwise, that would be being too subjective. It would require that I have appraised or assessed every other leader in this nation. But if someone has not been mentioned in any mischief, he has a right really to make a call to citizenship to be patriotic.
General, it's a good thing that we are targeting young children. And again, I'll be asking you to give us details of what it is you're telling these young people. I see this picture behind, doing chaka. These are students. But are we doing anything to try and reach the older folks? I was telling you a saying, a Uganda saying, Kacha Mamameda. You know that if you're to bend a tree, you do so when it is still young and feeble, and so it's bendable. Otherwise, when it's old, it will break. So yeah, let's target the young people. That's a good thing. But you see, we have the older ones who are occupying positions of influence, very, very influential positions, and they have been there for a very long time, and some are not about to go away. And so one would think, why do we not reach these ones too? Because we cannot say, well, let's wait for the younger ones, they'll sort things out. But here are people that have been around for decades, they want to be around for much longer, but they're not patriotic. And I'm talking about several leaders. Is there a program for those kinds of people?
Well, Senyonyi, my mandate as a Commissioner for Patriotism is to inculcate norms and values in children or students of post-primary institutions. As for those people, the youth and old people outside that mandate, that's work for other people. For example, the RDC, one of his details is to mobilize and conscientize the population outside the school system.
This is who have been
so I will not answer.
I
will not answer on the behalf of somebody. Otherwise, my mandate is to work in secondary schools and transform these future generations into upright citizens who are capable of continuing the historical mission of their generation to transform this nation into a modern state.
But General, do you not think it's important that as much as that's very important, I do agree with you. Let's reach the young people. But do you not think it's important as well, even though it might not be your mandate, that
it's
the
very,
older
very
ones
important.
get reached too, because
it's very important.
They hold the steering wheel and they just might crush us into.
It's very important
if they haven't already.
Programs are there. You have had people have been going to Chankwazi. Local governments have gone there. Other groups have organized and gone there. Although it's not enough, because Uganda now is a big nation with a huge population. We need to be doing much more than that. But and I think the country now has its other priorities and is putting resources in the most urgent priorities. But I think that's where we are going. That's where we are going.
So, Afande, when you get to these schools and you're interacting with these children, what do you tell them, you and your officers that do the training?
Well, like His Excellency President Yoweri Museveni guided in 2009 when he formed these clubs, where he said that we tell those children to take their studies seriously, remain in school, finish school, attain professional skills and knowledge that will be capable of, transforming their destinies. That's important. And we also tell them to fear God, to be godly, and of course this helps them to be morally upright by developing, spiritual values.
These sound like the things which their teachers tell them, or are supposed to tell them. Study hard, read your books. On Sunday, when they go to Sunday school, the religious leaders tell them, fear God, and so on. Why must we create an entire secretariat, fund it with a budget to do this work?
Well, sometimes we assume that the teachers are telling them, but it's not the fact. And in our interaction with them, we find that there's this gap, that the children are not helped in shaping their future, in shaping mostly their ideological orientation. The other things we talk about, we tell them to be disciplined. To be disciplined, for instance, avoid alcoholism, avoid misuse of drugs, abuse of drugs, to avoid promiscuity, to be modest, to live a modest life, not be extravagant. And of course, Joel, our country, according to research, we have a gold medal in extravagance and pomp. So we don't want our future.
We drink more alcohol in this country than milk, unfortunately.
We don't want our future generations really to be that kind of generation. And last year I read a report, I think it was from the Ministry of Health, saying that when you go to Butabika, 3/4 of the customers there are children from higher institutions of learning, universities and other tertiary institutions. Very funny. And how does it get to that? It's because schools emphasize academic work and neglect the upbringing, the wholesome molding of an individual to make him into a good citizen. They only concentrate on that academic work. But as we have seen, that is not enough. It's not enough to have a doctor, engineer who have got first-class degrees without discipline, without moral uprightness. This doctor will take your drugs. This doctor will not treat you the way he's supposed to. This engineer will steal your cement at your site. And so on and so on. You have lawyers who extort money from people who don't have it, actually. And so on and so on. And this is the crisis that we are having. The crisis that we are having, that we are concentrating on academics and leaving out that other part of building a wholesome person. And actually, when we visit schools, this is what we find. Most schools tell us, no, we are very busy. Maybe we'll see next term. We are very busy. We are teaching. We have a very tight academic program. But we tell you, look here. Yes, you want distinctions. You want first-class degrees, but you also need a person who is ethically and morally upright. It's not enough to have that knowledge, to have those skills when you are dented, and this is the crisis that we have. We'll tell them a lot of things, teach them tailored lessons. We'll tell them to appreciate the world that they live in, the realities of the world, to be able to stand up to problems and not hide from them when time comes, and not run away from them, but stand, face them, and look for solutions.
This sounds like a good curriculum, and I think, children out there need this.
They need it.
Don't imbibe.
We tell them to do gainful work
and so on.
So
these are good things, General. But I'm thinking, I'm trying to look for the element of patriotism, because I would think, in addition to these things, good stuff, which hopefully there are senior matrons and senior mistresses and wardens tell them, be disciplined, take a shower and all these good things, yeah? But I would think the element of patriotism would be, look, register to vote, for example. Many that are, especially in A level, qualify to vote, and then make sure you vote for leaders that are sane and sober, that speak out, against the evils that are happening in your country. I don't quite hear this, that they should love their country to the point of we need to see it being steered in the right direction, and so they will be involved in the process. For me, that seems to be the element of patriotism.
Well, these children may be having...
As opposed to, by the way, telling them this is the political party to support, because again, we also hear rumors that this whole patriotism thing is just promoting NRM.
But Joel, I know you know that patriotism is not practiced here in Uganda. Actually, we are one of the countries that have started very late. That's why we are still behind. Countries started centuries ago. And actually, patriotism, if you look at it well, patriotism is ideological orientation is responsible for preparing these nations to the levels where they are. Because you have citizens who are willing to do work, to sacrifice, to believe in themselves, in determining their destiny, to be self-reliant, as opposed to the way you see people here, complacent, lazy, not minding about tomorrow, and looking up to be helped by somebody, either an individual, government, and which are the things that really make us lag behind others. When you look at countries like the US, China, where? Israel, patriotism is number one. It is number one. The orientation of their people, the transformation of the mindsets of their people, the way they believe, what they believe in, their values, building culture, ethical values, and good attitudes, positive attitudes for their transformation. If you don't do that, you risk lagging behind. So,
Brigadier Patrick Mwesige.
Yes, please.
We'll be taking a short break now.
Thank you.
We'll be right back and continue with this discussion. Don't go too far. We'll be right back. Welcome back to On the Spot. My name is Joel Senyonyi, and tonight we are hosting Brigadier Patrick Mwesige. He's the Commissioner for Patriotism in the President's Office. General, the clip that we played at the start of the show, you were more or less reiterating, as you said, what the President did say. You said that the schools which don't embrace these patriotism programs will have their licenses revoked. Under what law? Under what law are we saying, look, you're not allowing us to bring our military guys to train, drills your children and so on. If you refuse, we'll revoke your licenses. Under what law?
There are many laws. First of all, the Constitution provisions. Constitution provisions.
Quote for me the article.
Yes, I will quote. I will quote
please
for
go
you.
for it.
Chapter 29 of the National Objectives and Principles of State Policy, subsection A, states that every citizen of this nation must be patriotic and loyal to Uganda and promote its well-being.
But that doesn't necessarily mean undergoing a
Must
military
be.
training conducted by the good Afande and his team.
Okay, now Article 17, subsection 2 says every able-bodied citizen must undergo military training for the defense of our constitution and the territorial integrity of our country.
Yeah, and for me to be able to defend
Now that
my
means
country, Afande,
military training is imperative for all of us, as long as you are not a disabled person.
You see, unlike countries like Israel, Afande,
Yes.
which have made it mandatory, in our case it is not, and you know that for a fact. You know, it's a
This-
good thing to do military training. I've
That's
told
what
you
we
I
are saying.
have done it myself, yeah?
Yeah.
But you see, if we are imposing it on a people and we are saying the schools that don't embrace this, you're going to revoke their licenses, that sounds very high-handed,
Afande. That could be an extreme action, but I don't see us going there anyway. I don't see ourselves going there. We have our own old time-tested revolutionary methods, most especially, ideological orientation, ideological education. Actually, when we go to these schools which we think are defiant, and we talk to them, we find that's a question of lack of the conceptual framework of the program. And when we actually educate them about the program, they immediately embark on it. So really saying that we revoke the alliances is, we may not reach there. We may not reach there.
Afande, one of the things you said is that you teach these children ideological orientation. What exactly is that?
Ideological orientation really means transforming the things that a person believes in, transforming values, giving them good values, and building positive attitudes. Let me give you an example. A child who grows up in a shrine and serves in a shrine, we still have these metaphysical beliefs. It would be difficult to convince such a child that prosperity comes from productivity, that you have to work and build wealth. He would think, wealth is given by the judges. It's the judges that give wealth. But is it true really that the judges give wealth? Wealth comes from working. Productivity, you produce, you work with your hands, you create wealth. So the things that we believe in, there are people who don't believe that prosperity, wealth creation comes out of hard work. That you can even work on yourself without any other exogenous help, and you transform yourself and you become prosperous. There are people who think most born-agains, for example, let me use that. And really, that's not to mean that I'm pagan. But there are people who pray, who are told to be in church and pray 24 hours, 48 hours, 72 hours, 100 hours, without going out to work and thinking that miracles will drop and they'll get out of poverty. But as far as I know, the Bible says, and this is what God says, that I will bless the work of your hands. You must be doing something that you should get these miracles. But most of our people are misled that you will be in church, you will pray, and only pray, and miracles shall come, and you will get out of poverty. Now, these are beliefs. These are beliefs that need to be transformed. Well, you pray to God, pray to your God, but go out there and work. If you don't work, you'll be poor. And this God will bless the work that you are doing. And there are many illustrations in the Bible. Actually, then values, building positive values of time management. If you look in this country, again, research shows that here we have no sense of time. When we want to justify our lack of sense of time, we say, this is Uganda, this is Africa. But if you go in other countries, people work more than 14 hours, 15 hours, not because they have what to do, but because their values state that. Look at our value, our perceptions of the environment, where we live, for instance. How come that Ugandans like living in filthy places and expect that other people will come and clean their houses? Actually, when we visit some of these schools, the schools actually who have not embraced patriotism, you find them employing workers to clean toilets, to clean dormitories, to clean classrooms, / compounds. In schools that have embraced patriotism and the values of these children transformed, the head teachers will never hire workers. It's the children who voluntarily do this work. Because now they look at work in a different way.
I hear you, General. I'm trying to get my mind wrapped around the whole idea that let's pretty much force people to love their country, because that's what we seem to be doing. You see, by the time you get to the point of forcing people to love their country, that look, love Uganda, promote Uganda, you know, if you're tweeting, tweet only good things about Uganda and all of that, that means there's a problem, Afande. It is probably because we have a dissatisfied, a disgruntled citizenry. Could it be because, you know, our social service delivery is at a low key, and so people are disgruntled, people are angry. When they go to hospitals, there's no medicines. You know, when they take their children to school, there's a story that we did, you know, whenever I look at those pictures, they make my heart bleed. A long time ago that we did here at NTV. Children that were studying under a tree and writing on the ground, and the teacher comes and marks, you know. And then we are expecting the parents of these children to love their country, yet they think or they see themselves living as second-class citizens, you know, while others are trying to access healthcare, they cannot. The guys in power who we pay using our tax money, they'll fly on planes and go wherever to get treated on our tax money, and all these different things. And we are forcing people to love our country. And look, this might be beyond, you know, your territory, but I'm thinking that maybe the leaders of whom you are part need to sit and rethink. Why don't people love Uganda that much? What are the things we have done or not done that are causing them not to love their country? Human rights, gross human rights violations, you know, that are meted out on the citizens by their leaders. And we are expecting these people to love the country. It's not very practical. And so I'm thinking that you guys probably need to sit and say, so why don't Ugandans love their country that much? And begin to address those issues, as opposed to make a clarion call. People love Uganda, do good about this country, promote it, all of which things are good. But you see, there's a genesis to all of this.
Yeah, but you see, when we say love Uganda, it starts with you as an individual. First of all, do you love yourself? Do you love yourself? Actually, most of the emphasis is on the individual. Do you love yourself? So our training, our call is really to make sure that this individual is transformed. And a transformed individual will transform the nation. We don't do this because the economic situation is bad or people are disgruntled. Patriotism, the patriotism spirit or ideological orientation is an imperative for every nation. Look here, Joel. When President Trump came into power, the first day he signed 3 acts. The first one was the Patriotism Act. To revamp, to revive patriotism teaching in the United States of America. Putin in Russia did the same. China did done the same. It's not because they are poor or their people are disgruntled.
You see, I find that when leaders begin to do that and say, now let's make this law and force it down the throats of people, it's because there's a problem. The people are disgruntled.
Joel,
unemployment rates are high, even in states and these other places that you're talking about. People are disgruntled, and that is why you have to come now with a stick, wielding it and saying, love your country, if not, I'll beat you. And I'm saying maybe there's better ways to do this, that let the people feel this country works for them. That emanates from the leaders. Joel, that there's no first-class citizens and second-class citizens.
Maybe one of these days I should take you out there and you look at these children and tell them whether really what you are saying is what they have.
Are you kidding me? But you see, I interact with the systems in this country. I know that you go to hospitals, a number of them, there's no medication. Doctors are not available. Why? They're not paid well, so they run out and go to other countries.
That's why we need to be patriotic. That's why you need to be patriotic.
Yeah, but you see, when you tell me I find it, to love my country,
love your country the way it is and work towards transforming it. We are still underdeveloped. We are still a backward nation.
But our leaders can afford to use our tax money to fly and go get awesome healthcare as opposed to fixing it here. So how can such a leader find it? Tell me, please love your country, be good to it. Yet when I go to hospital, I don't find medicine, I don't find a medical person to attend to me. When my leader telling me that gets unwell, they'll put them on the next flight to go to wherever and get treatment. For heaven's sake, there's just a problem with that, Afandi.
I don't want to talk about that. Those who go out, I don't know how they go. Maybe they use their own money.
Oh, come on.
But
you know that our budget has provision, and they've been talking about lessening it.
And provision for all citizens. Why are you not talking about other people who are sent there on that same funds, who are not leaders?
Yeah, but you see, those are the few connected ones, Afande, and you know that. I don't know where it is that you come from, Afande, but I'm sure there's that health center where people go and there's no medicine.
That's why we want Ugandans to appreciate. There is no medicine because there's someone who don't want to put it there. It's because our resources don't allow medicine to be there throughout the year.
But it's available for some. Healthcare is awesome, good healthcare is available for some and not for the others. And look, Afandi, for as long as that ground will not be leveled, it's going to be a tall order. It's going to be a head-banging project for you to tell Ugandans, be patriotic, love your country, serve it.
Well, now,
when they're doing everything,
let's
they can't
do the
break
basics.
Their backs, pay taxes.
Let's do the basics.
And the services don't come back
Let's
to them.
do the basics. Clean where you sleep, clean where you study from, clean where you eat from.
That's important. Don't throw garbage out of the car and so on. So those are important things
we are talking about.
But you see, patriotism is a lot more than that. Those things are critical.
Yes.
But we are saying, for Ugandans to have a love for their country, it's got to be a mutual kind of happening. You see, I find it takes 2 hands to clap, 2 stones to make a spark, 2 wings to fly. So if we're telling Ugandans,
but you see, we are not telling Ugandans to fly to the moon. No, we are not telling Ugandans to fly to the moon. We are talking about the basics. As citizens, do you love your neighbor? Can you help your neighbor if you have more than what you need? These are things we are talking about.
And people do that even without government having to tell them that. Are you kidding me? It happens a lot. But even for those that, it's not happening for whatever reason, I don't know that government now should be out there. Let's now, inject money and force people to do that, as opposed to focusing on what I would think are key things, as opposed to come and tell me, Joel, please, when your neighbor doesn't have, give them government. Should government be doing that?
Well, voluntary work is always there, even in developed nations. There are people help others. and it's actually even more pronounced there than here. Yeah, but we are saying let Ugandans love themselves because we have a history. We have a history where hatred was being taught in the open. But even up to now, there is a time when, you know, sections of our populations preach hatred in broad daylight. So we need to undo this. There are many factors that really impact on the perceptions, on the outlook of our people, especially, you know, negative reportings, you know, many things, geography, the environment, and so on. So we need to be helping people to reorient them, to reorient in the right directions. That's why we have these programs.
Do you know what are our national values? What are our values as Ugandans? Because you see, for this patriotism thing to work, it's got to be hinged on certain values, you know, which we hold dear as a country, and everybody knows them, believes them, and works towards them. What are those? Do we have them? Do they exist?
Well, I think as Ugandans, we didn't have values that united us and identified us as Ugandans because of the turbulent past.
But I find we're talking about the past.
You cannot run away from your past.
You see,
you can't
we
run
are
away
here
from
now.
your shadow.
So when is the last time Uganda was at war? Why have we over the years not perhaps crafted that and sold it to Ugandans? You see, because you see, when you come and tell them patriotism now, okay, so about what?
Okay,
you know,
now,
what are the values we should hold here?
Let me answer your question. The Minister of Ethics and Integrity have put up a national culture value policy, and they have come up with 10 values which we think every Ugandan should love, know, love, cherish, and live. And those will actually...
What are those 10 values?
Well, I can't recite all of them now, but there are values that we know.
So you see, Afandi, that's
probably
part of the problem.
No, if I had the time, I would. But you see, we are
list them for me. I'll give you time.
Well, there is social justice, there is equality, there is patriotism, national consciousness and patriotism, socio-economic transformation, you know, and so on.
Afandi,
but they are there. We can look at them.
I'll tell you where the problem is. And look, let this Muzukulu give some advice to Jaja. I'm sure Jaja is humble enough to take advice from a Muzukulu. You see, there's no values for this country. We don't have any crafted out values. I would think that you good people should embark on a process of crafting out these values in consultation with Ugandans.
I've told you that values are there, and the ministry consulted.
Who did they consult?
Oh, they consulted.
So was that passed as law? So why don't Ugandans know them? Because even the Commissioner for Patriotism does not know them entirely. So how are Ugandans going to buy into this thing that doesn't seem to be in place?
I know them. If you give me time to list them here, I will list them. But the values are there, they are crafted, and they are going to be promulgated, to be taught to the people, to know them, and to live them.
So we are going to force down against people and say, look, these are the values you must go by.
We will educate.
Because one would think it should be a consultative process, and then as a country we agree and say these are the values that we hold dear to us. Done. And then when was that done?
The consultation
how was it conducted?
The consultation was done.
How
I can't
was
go
it
into
conducted?
details, but I remember
because
the
that gives
Minister
it
of Ethics and
credibility.
Integrity went around the country seeking views on what they were crafting. And people gave their views.
Because you see, sometimes good people in government, see it and they imagine, okay, so this is what I think is good for the country. And so they list, perhaps with good intentions.
Okay, I've given you information.
There's not much viability from the citizenry.
Joel, I've given you information. Go ahead and do your own study. Values have been crafted, they are there, and they are going to be rolled out.
You see where I was coming from, Afande? You as Commissioner for Patriotism, these values should be, say, at your fingertips, and as you go out there, you are selling them to Ugandans to buy into them. And that's not a stage we have gotten to. I hope we do. That as we keep engaging with the citizenry, we come up with concrete values which are all inclusive.
We haven't reached there. There are values which we, as in the department, crafted. Well, they are not very much different from these ones. So we are going to have actually to work with them to make sure that we either leave ours and we take on theirs, or we will continue, because they are all good values, positive values. So,
all right.
Right now, I'm concentrating on what we crafted as a department.
And that's what you are putting out there.
And I can't roll out the other ones before I'm told to do so.
So you see, even what you crafted, it's good to use the right words, what you crafted. And so you are now telling Ugandans, as opposed to engaging with them, okay, so people, what should we have? And then in consultation, you come up with something, as opposed to what you have crafted.
They are not different from what they put in place. They are not very different.
All right, let's talk about, and again, this whole patriotism thing involves, you earlier on talked about corruption and all these different things that we should serve our country and be diligent. Some of your former staff members have made heavy-sounding allegations against you and the Secretariat, misappropriation of funds. I'll actually quote the exact wordings that they used. Misappropriation of Secretariat funds, double accounting, nepotism and fictitious accountability, among others. They've accused you of hiring your son as a data entrant, one Castro Mwesije. These are allegations, and your relative warrant officer to Richard Mugisha as the communication officer without following proper recruitment channels and all of these different things. And these are allegations that have been leveled against you and the Secretariat. And we're thinking, wait a minute. These good people are supposed to be promoting patriotism, but then here is what we hear. What do you have to say about these allegations, Afande? They wrote to the president making these allegations.
There you go. They wrote to many institutions. They wrote to the president. They wrote to IGG. They wrote to the Nakarima committee. And the legal profession, Kumbe calls it what? Sub judice. Something that's being investigated.
No, sub judice is when it's before a competent court of law.
Hey, okay.
But also...
so it's not yet sub judice.
It's not in court. They've written to the president and so on. So
yeah, because I didn't want to bias people who are investigating. The IGG is investigating. He will tell the nation of their findings. But I want to say that all these things that were written here were just malicious allegations.
There's no truth in them at all.
Because
the other, for example, is that you've given your wife an official vehicle, a double cabin Nissan registration number UG 1927C. And the communications person, at your secretariat actually did admit, yes, it was, but then apparently you made repairs to the vehicle and asked that it be used by your wife and all of that.
No, sir. That's an outrageous allegation. There is no sane person who can do that.
Are you kidding me? People have done worse in this good country.
I don't know. I'm talking on my own behalf. I can't do that.
So you're saying these are baseless, Kabisa?
Those are baseless. That vehicle is a poor vehicle. It parks at the Secretariat.
Your wife has never used this vehicle?
Look here. If I'm in Karamoja and my wife falls sick, can't I, and I don't have a personal vehicle, can't I call this vehicle to take her to hospital?
Is that what happened? Because it was being used regularly.
Well,
according to the allegations.
True.
So are you saying the time she used it is because she was ill or
that's not
that kind
true.
of thing?
All these
and you see,
allegations
these look like little things. But you see, at the end of the day, if we are saying these are the good people that are meant to be preaching this message of patriotism, let's love our country, let's serve it, let's not misappropriate
I've told
funds.
you.
So the small things then,
these were malicious allegations, and I want you to take it that way. There is no vehicle that I've given to my wife. There is a staff list. My wife can't enter. I can't employ my wife where I'm working. That is outrageous. That's outrageous.
Well, they made the allegations. You have responded to them. Hopefully, these will be investigated. And at the end of the day,
secondly, I don't recruit. I don't have the powers to recruit anybody.
there's even no influence peddling.
Recruitment is done by public service. How can I, me, a small man, to influence who? The Minister of Public Service? To employ my wife, who is not even qualified? As what?
All right, Afande, we're going to take another break. When we get back, we'll talk a bit about, I'm sure there's good stuff that the Secretariat has been doing. You people have been placed since 2010. You know, so it will be good that we hear about that, because people out there know this patriotism, it is NRM agenda, and so on. So we'll hear from you, and then we'll also be able to take some phone calls from our viewers, ask some questions, make a couple of comments, and we see how things go. Let's take a break now. We'll be right back. Welcome back to the fourth set. My name is Joel Senyonyi, and tonight we are hosting Brigadier Patrick Mwesije. He's the Commissioner for Patriotism in the President's Office. In this segment, like I said, you can get in touch with us and share your thoughts, ask a good general question, make a comment, whatever the case might be. The number to call is right on your screen. Please, when you call us, kindly lower the volume on your TV set so that we don't get feedback. Afande, I did promise that you could talk to us about some of the, what you would think, what you'd write as a good report card. This Secretariat has been in place since 2010. We're in 2019. What would you write as a report card for this institution that you lead?
Well, we have made a lot of achievements. We've trained a huge number of cadres, and we are following them where they go. Many of them
cadres.
Yes.
That's what is normally used by the NRM.
No.
So are these NRM cadres you're training?
It's a universal word. It's a universal word. It's in the dictionary. You can look it up.
Some words have been
It's not about NRM.
used, misused, abused, but I hear you.
Yes.
Is it fine, Afande, if let me just pick some phone calls, because the phone is ringing off the hook, then we'll get back to that. Hello, good evening. Hello. Hello, you're live through. Talk to us.
Yes, Afande. Thank you, Joel, for hosting General Patrick.
Sure. What's your name, sir?
My name is Joshua Isingoma.
Yes, Joshua. Yes, Isingoma, we hear you. Go ahead.
Yes, I in addition to, yes, I've been following the discussion, but I think there is a lot that the General needs to know about. You know, like these small things we are talking about. Like, for instance, if we look at the institutions in place, if people are not following, for instance, public officers are behaving outrageously on the street, you know, like the incident which happened in Mukono there. If someone doesn't respect themselves, how am I supposed to follow with this patriotism? You know?
All right. Thank you for sharing your thoughts, Joshua. Okay, so that's a Joshua there who's saying, look, you know, what's good for the goods should be good for the gander. Let's hear from somebody else. Hello, good evening. Hello.
Yes.
What's your name, sir?
How are you?
Very well, thank you. What's your name, Chief?
My name is Mr. Chikomeko Hassan.
Yes, Hassan. Hassan, we are getting a bit of feedback. Could you reduce the volume on your TV set? We're getting feedback here.
Okay. Hello?
All right, yes, go ahead. Make your question or comment brief, Hassan.
If you want to send my daughter with the school,
Hassan. I'm not too sure what point Hassan was trying to make. But we kept getting feedback. Please, when you call, reduce the volume on your TV set. Hello, good evening.
Yes. Good evening, sir.
Good evening. What's your name, sir?
I'm Darius.
Yes, Darius.
Yeah, now, thanks for hosting this gentleman in studio.
Sure, thank you.
I would like to tell him about patriotism. You cannot teach a person how to love his country. If you want to love your country, it has to come from your heart. And for instance, now if you check like in the dailies, every day check on TVs, radios, newspapers, they tell you people are stealing money. For instance, you see like this Madam Bajen. People are stealing money. And then you tell me that's patriotism. No, we need to get examples to learn through. You say, I'm learning from this one to be a patriotic, to love my country. I cannot love my country when people are stealing money, people are misbehaving. You see public officials. You see guys who say they're in influential positions. People are stealing. Maybe you are telling me you are teaching these kids to be patriotic in a sense that when they join the government, they also join the stealing crew.
But then, if say those who are stealing don't love the country, does that mean then you also don't get to love your country?
No,
Okay.
what I'm saying.
Yes, sure.
You see, like many nations where people have loved their countries, they are taking examples of people who are in influential positions. You are having models in your government whom you are learning from. But when you check the role models we have, people whom we are seeing in influential positions, what they are doing, it's not like there's no sense or there's no spirit of a nation.
All right.
I saw this gentleman, instead of saying, for example, now I had the solution. Instead of saying that they start teaching the patriotism, they should bring national service. So in a sense that if it's national service, everybody Ugandan who can manage, he can do some national training, like national service, like how it used to be like in early 90s. Not this kind of where we are seeing patriotism. These guys are only in the sense that they want to start eating money. You can see so far the allegations which are already coming up that the guy is employing his wife, his kids, his in-laws. Focus on the thing of national importance.
All right. Thank you for sharing your thoughts, Darius. All right. Interesting comments coming in from Darius. This suggests national service and so on. Let's hear from somebody else. Hello. Good evening.
Hi, how are you?
Very well, thank you. What's your name, Chief?
Nimeshukuru kabisa kuona mambo mwenye iko kwa TV na kuona afande habari ambao wanaongea katika dunia.
Gentlemen, could you use English for the benefit of all our viewers? We want to be sure they understand what you're saying.
Oh, sorry.
And his name.
So do you want to give it a shot in English?
So,
ongea kwa lugha ya Kiingereza bwana.
Afande anafahamu kilugha yetu ya jeshi lakini mimi sijui Kiingereza mzuri.
Okay, asanteni sana.
Maybe you can give him a chance and interpret what you have said.
I want to imagine if you can hear English, you can speak a bit of it. We want to be sure our viewers, the rest of them, pick what you say.
Okay. Nimebaki kama mimi naitwa Lieutenant Frank Sisanga, retired.
Yes, Lieutenant.
So afande mambo yake mwenye ameongea, nimeshukuru kabisa, ametangaza dunia hii.
Okay, asanteni sana bwana.
Afande nimeshukuru kabisa.
Asante sana. He's very happy with what he has.
Should we believe what you say? What if he said other things altogether?
That's one part you're too is
Hello, good evening.
Hello, good evening. My name is Peter.
Yes, Peter.
Thank you, Joel. I'm Peter Cromwell. I would simply like to make a brief comment regarding the assertion by the guest. His assertion is that there are countries that are implementing the patriotism nations in their countries, for example, the United States and China. But I wanted to indicate that these countries are exemplary. The leaders are exemplary, and in my view, patriotism should be a lifestyle, and we can teach it the way we conduct ourselves. Fight corruption wherever they exist, appoint people on jobs based on merit, provide ensure equitable service delivery in the country, and that is when the young ones will be able to see the work done by the elders. And they will grow up knowing this is the culture, this is how they do things in our country. But if we're going to force it on people, we shall invest money, waste a lot of time and energy. And as long as we don't change our characters, we shall not realize the results. We shall only harvest disappointments. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Peter. I'll pick perhaps two more, and we'll get back here. Hello. Good evening.
Hello?
Good evening. What's your name, sir?
Hello?
I hear you loud and clear. What's your name, sir? There is volume on your TV. If you could lessen that, please. Sorry, we had to drop that call. Please, when you call, reduce the volume on your TV set. Good evening.
Good evening, sir.
What's your name, Chief?
My name is Mark, sir.
Yes, Mark.
I'm one of the people who attended the Patriotism camp 2 years ago. Yes, something I have to say about patriotism is that people tend to see it in a different way. That when you talk about patriotism, it's all about seeing money, what. But then we were taught that when you love your country, there are certain things you're supposed to do for it. And one of the things that we gained from that camp was that we made the right decisions, we made the right choices. We got to that.
What kind of choices are you talking about? What are some of the right choices you made as a result of attending that camp?
The choices were, when you love your country, you tend to care about the people around you, and you end up making decisions that are beneficial for the country at large. But what most people don't get is that patriotism comes from awareness. We learn what to do about certain things. Like, I'm here in this office. What would I do that would help my neighbor? What would I do that would help my the person in a lower state or an office, something like that? Patriotism is mainly about love and caring for the country, to make the right decisions to push our country forward.
Okay, thank you for sharing your thoughts, Mark. Okay, that is Mark there, testifying. Hello, good evening. Hello.
Hello.
Good evening, sir.
Good evening, how are you?
Very well, thank you. What's your name, Chief?
This is Dominic from Tororo.
Yes, Dominic.
Yes, I appreciate the work of the officer there. Yes, actually, Jesus Christ was brought to complement what God did.
Yes, Dominic? Dominic, are you still there? Okay, I wanted to see how Dominic relates the Jesus story to what we're discussing. Unfortunately, we lost him. Let's pick one final caller. Hopefully it's a lady. Not heard from the ladies. Good evening. Hello? Sorry, we lost them. I hope the last caller will be a lady. Let's attempt this. Hello? Hello, good evening.
Hello.
Good evening. What's your name, sir?
I'm calling from Kanungu.
From Kanungu. What's your name, sir?
I'm called Francis.
Yes, Francis. Francis, go right ahead. Please make your question or comment brief.
Yeah, I appreciate that program. It's not a question, it's appreciation for patriotism. I'm already a member of a Patriotism club.
All right, thank you.
I appreciate this program.
Okay, thank you for getting in touch with us, Francis. Unfortunately, that will make do with those calls because of time constraints. Let's see how we quickly respond to the issues that have been raised, even as you tell us about, some of the milestones in the 9 years that the Patriotism Secretariat has been in place.
Well, I want to take this opportunity to thank the people who have asked their questions and made their comments, and others have appreciated the work we are doing. Most of them actually are looking at the same issue. The first guy is actually commenting on government officers who are misbehaving. So is the second one. He says love comes from the heart. So is the other one.
Well, of course, we're testifying, appreciating the program, those that have participated.
Well,
but the spirit in some of the communications from some of these people is, this is a good thing, but can we begin to see it reflect in the leaders?
Yes, yes.
can
Like
that begin to
I
happen?
said in the beginning, there are people who have joined public service without this orientation. This orientation is very, very imperative for everybody. And I'm happy that the Civil Service College of Uganda, Jinja, have started doing this. And they usually invite some of our colleagues and myself to go and deliver lectures to these people. This is the way forward. You see, once you join the civil service without the ideological orientation, you are bound to make these mistakes. You are bound to make these mistakes because you lack that devotion. You lack that commitment. You lack the verve, the reason, the conviction for which you are working. That's why most of them, somebody enters public service under 2 years, he has amassed wealth.
Sometimes I imagine, General, that you see countries where there's less corruption, I don't know whether it is because those people are necessarily good or they love their country so much, but it's probably because it has been made risky to steal in those countries, which is not the case here, as I'm sure you know. So even when somebody loves their country, if there's so many lacunas, so many loopholes, they'll exploit them, So elsewhere where there's limited stealing, I actually like to call it brigandage. We like to use words that are a bit fancy: corruption, misappropriation. No, it is thieving, it is brigandage, it is robbery. That's what it really is, yeah? But that maybe some of these things need to be addressed too, because I might love my country and all of that, but you see, if there are loopholes all over the place, people exploit them. And well, this might not be your call to make, but again, these are things to think about.
But you see, people who are misbehaving, you can't stop that. Those ones
you can limit it. You can make it dangerous by flagging the loopholes, the glaring ones. And when you catch people stealing, you make it very difficult for them.
Yeah,
and others will take an example. We don't do that here.
Why?
People steal and they
not?
get promoted. You know that for a fact. Those involved in all manner of skirmishes,
I don't want to believe
they are the ones who are pampered.
I don't want to believe you. I don't want to believe you.
But it's out in the public.
There are people who are in Ruzira. What about those who are in Ruzira?
Well, of course, they'll go for the few. I'll tell you something interesting about the law in places like ours. It's like a cobweb. It catches the little insects, but the bigger ones, they'll just go through that web.
But sometimes, like when you media talk about corruption and you make allegations, well, the country will automatically believe that what you report is correct. But later on, when investigations are conducted and they don't find any evidence of mischief, then of course
that's if investigations ever end.
The people will always say,
that the investigations that have been going on for years.
It's because this one is this and that. But I want to believe that the laws that are in this country are enough. It's only that sometimes
it's implementation.
we
that's
talk.
where the problem is. The laws are enough. I would like to agree with you.
Sometimes freedom of speech can be abused. We talk a lot. We talk a lot. But
so you guys want to curtail that too?
No. But I want to tell you that even corruption exists in these other countries where you don't hear it. It is there. But it's underground. Well, but because they don't want to tarnish the image. Yes.
They don't tarnish the image of the country.
Yeah.
Oh, so what you're saying, when we in the media, we report about these corruption cases and so on, we are tarnishing the image of our country.
You don't investigate.
And I'm saying, no, stop stealing, those that are stealing.
You report allegations.
Afande, I don't know if you have ever read any of the annual Auditor General reports. Please pick interest and look at them. Now, that's a government department. That's not even the media. You'll be amazed at what you find there. The rot, the stealing, reported by the Auditor General, not by us in the media. So is the Auditor General also being unpatriotic?
Okay. Let those be dealt with according to the existing laws. Let those be dealt with, but that cannot stop us from telling people to do the right thing. because somebody is doing mischief, it will not stop us from continuing to educate our people. We'll continue to educate our people and show them the right way. So if somebody is doing mischief, should we stop this and let everybody do what the others are doing? In doing this, we have saved many more people from falling in the same path. And actually what we want is that this generation of young people should come up when they are different from us. If we are such bad, then we should have a generation that's different. And I want to believe
being trained by the very bad ones. And I'm not even referring to you as an individual. You know, you come off as a good man. The short time I've interacted with you, even before going on air.
Of course, you are referring to me. I'm their teacher now.
Oh, come on. You're just part of the larger system. So when you say the bad ones, well, let the little ones not become like the bad. You are referring
to me, and I want to tell you.
The ones training there.
I want to tell you, Joel, I've been serving this government for now, since 1986, 33 years. I have not stolen government.
And I'd like to reiterate what I've said. You come off as a good man.
And role models are there in this country, which we can look at. Let's, in the meantime, focus. I mean, study and learn from those who are upright. And we have them, many. We can learn from them. We can follow their examples. And then call upon government to take action on those who are deemed.
I hope they can. I hope they will. Because if they don't take action, then they don't have the
because the laws are there. The laws are there.
Come against everybody else.
Mechanisms
my time is running out. We need to wrap it up.
Okay,
so the 9 years that the Secretariat has been in place, what would you say are some of the milestones, things that you can touch? Because yes, you go train people. Do you follow up and be sure we have trained these young people? What happens thereafter? Are they keeping on track or that kind of thing?
Indeed, we do follow our people whom we have trained. We know where they are, and we know what they are doing. Our people are smart. They are good. And I think the people have passed through our hands. I don't know of any who has been caught in mischief.
How many have you trained? And you know all that they are about?
We've trained so many.
And you know where each of them is, and you can vouch for them.
Thousands. At least those whom we know and have followed and are in public service are doing well. So that's what gives us energy. The other achievement, for instance, is the impact we have had on the behavior and the character of our children. When you go to these schools, those which are actually vigilant in this program, you'll find that the schools are transformed in terms of the behavior of the children. Schools which used to have strikes, for instance, strikes have died down. Not dying down, actually, strikes have ended. Strikes have ended. And I want
Is it because you intimidate the students?
Not intimidation.
It's
because now they know.
Strike even for a good cause, we shall come for you.
It's because now they know, like the other boy who reported, now they can make right decisions and make good choices that are useful to them, instead of destroying the schools from which they benefit. So that's a very big achievement. And you can visit the schools and you hear the testimonies of the head teachers. And this program also helps the children to focus. To focus, you find that most of them are in school, but they haven't really determined where they want to go. It helps them to focus, and their performance actually improves with time. I want to refer you to Wanyange. Visit Wanyange girls. One school that had died, but when they embraced this program, the numbers rose from around 250, 300, now to more than 800 because of this program. Because the people are looking at, who had taken out their children, are now seeing the transformation that is happening. Children are well behaved, children are focused, they are studying well and passing, and they have brought back their children. So these are the testimonies you'll find in schools when you go there.
All right. Brigadier General Patrick Mwesije, my time is up. What is going to be your concluding remark as we wrap it up?
My concluding remark is that patriotism training is really an imperative for this nation if we are to realize the vision of transforming our country and our people. Patriotism is really, in other countries, it's a matter of national security policy and strategy. Because of the training that we get, it increases, or it increases national strength and resilience. For instance, citizens who are patriotic will always be ready to defend their nation. Let me give you an example. Countries where there is no patriotism, when there is instability, the citizens run away and they become refugees. Countries where citizens are patriotic, they will always stand up to the aggression. Let me give you an example. Israel, which was twice attacked by all her neighbors, I did not hear of a single Jew running out of their country. They all stood ground, fought, and defended their nation. But people who are not patriotic, when they hear the first shot, they run away. So the way forward is to ideologically orient our people through patriotism training.
All right, Brigadier General Patrick Mwesije, Commissioner for Patriotism, the President's Office. Thank you for talking to us.
Most welcome. Thank you, viewers.
All right, so that's it for today's edition of On the Spot. Thank you for joining us. My name is Joel Senyonyi. Good evening.